There we go. And then I see Joey.
David, will you be in Vegas? I
I
cannot hear.
am planning to be in Vegas. Yeah, I think it would be great seeing you there. Everybody's
Okay.
very, very excited, Sammy. I don't know if you remember me, Sammy. I was with you in Needham, Massachusetts last year, 2 years ago now. Jeez.
I have no idea.
Yeah, that's cool. We had Chinese food. It was good. You liked it.
My memory is completely gone.
No, it's not, Sam. Okay, so I think are we
Except my presentations. Very happy.
okay. I believe that we're live, everybody.
There we
Um,
go.
okay, but we still are waiting on Joey Good, correct? I don't think
Yeah,
that
I'm
we
sorry.
So it's okay. So we're still waiting on one of our panelists to join, but because we have a lot of you that have joined likely since 9 p.m., thank you for, well, I'm sorry, I'm on the East Coast, so 6 p.m. West Coast time. Thank you for bearing with us. So we'll slowly get started while we get our final panelist on. So welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us. This is our what we're calling our California mobilization Zoom session. But really, what this is an amazing opportunity for all of the attendees to hear from incredible panelists that are really just a cross section into activism. Evident, it's really activism as at its best, focused on K-12, but not just K-12, as you'll hear from both, Sami Steigmann, Brianna Wu, and then of course all of the both grassroots and org leaders here. The key is really discussing activism, how we can all be activists in different ways, how we can ensure. Oh, Joey, great, welcome, Joey. If you could just rename yourself on
Gotcha.
the in
Shall
your little
do.
window. So, as I was saying, the goal is just really ensuring that everybody here has the tools to be an advocate and activist. So, advocate for if it's you're a parent of K-12 children, advocate and activist in general, standing up both for Jewish civil rights, but also combating and fighting anti-Western ideology, and which we all know is seeping into both our school system and beyond. So, by way of introduction, I'm Michelle Adut. I'm a director here at End Jew Hatred, joined by Adar. I'll turn this over to you. And again, Adar and I really are here. End Jew Hatred is a Jewish civil rights movement, really serves as just an umbrella to unite and bring different organizations and different people from all walks and paths of life together, all sharing the same goal to hopefully, obviously, it's a very large goal, end Jew hatred in our lifetime. But even if we don't end that Jew hatred, we want to ensure that it becomes truly socially unacceptable and that there are consequences for bad behavior. So we're here today really just to platform all of you. Adar, I'm going to turn it over to you right now. And then really the superstars here today are all the panelists that are going to be talking. Adar.
Amen. Amen. Thank you, everybody. And I apologize again for the minor technical delay. Zoom has just not been my friend at all today. But aside from that, better late than never. And it's important that we have this important discussion. My name is Adar Rubin. I'm the director of mobilization for the End Jew Hatred movement. I also serve as the campus manager as well. So I work with campus fellows across the country while also managing our state chapters. I also do a little bit of political engagement, meeting with elected officials and their staff to discuss policies in order to strengthen efforts to combat Jew hatred within their districts. I've also been active on the K to 12 front. A lot of what we do from K to 12 involves mobilizing, activating, and creating critical rapid response initiatives in order to better showcase our advocacy and to create meaningful change for the Jewish community to protect our civil rights, and not even just our civil rights, but civil rights for all. Our threats are everyone else's threats. Um, Tonight we're going to hear from a variety of incredible speakers who I'm very, very, very grateful could all make it here tonight. We're standing here in a united front to talk about ways we can each collectively share our resources in order to combat the spread of Jew hatred within our lifetime. So when we talk collaboration, it means forming partnerships, sharing resources, creating real-time response, and ways we can basically utilize our individual resources to our advantage to take on, anti-Semitic policies, acts of blatant conduct, things like discrimination in the classroom. We've seen an explosion of it even after the fall or after October 7th. The battle is nowhere near complete. It's our priority that we stand united and set the national example of what it means to be moral messengers and healthy activists. So, first,
and Adar, I'm gonna just add one more thing in. I think we also need to stress that right now, there is a huge sense of urgency. Every day we're seeing something occur. I mean, look, just today, I'm sure all of you have seen San Jose, the incident with the swastika formed on the field. This is happening constantly. And I do think that all of you, specifically the California orgs, activists, have been a shining light in terms of being very, very loud when that loud and that voice is needed most. So that's why while it is targeting, we could say, more Californians, you really are serving as an example. So this is going to be recorded because I do think that a lot of the issues and the core competencies that the panelists speak of can be, we're all about sharing best practices, idea sharing, sharing expertise. So I do think that a lot of what we hear will also be heard, when we forward this recording on. So just putting it out there, the sense of urgency, but how we act on that urgency. So thank you all. Adar, back to you.
Awesome. Now we have a very, very, very fantastic list of speakers that are joining here tonight with us. First and foremost, I wanted to introduce you all to the one, the only Brianna Wu. Many of you have seen Brianna on X. She's been loud, she's been active, she's been such a tenacious fighter for our civil rights and addressing radicalization and extremism from all walks of political life. We need 1 million for Brianna Wu's. I'm so lucky to call you a friend. We're all lucky to call you mishpacha, which in Hebrew translates to family. So, Brianna, I'll let you take it away.
Yeah, it really means a lot to me. And one of the reasons I suspect I'm one of the few non-Jews here tonight, one of the reasons I talk about this so much is...
Brianna, I have a difficult time hearing you. A little bit louder.
Oh, sorry. I do have a quiet voice. I will try to speak louder. One of the reasons I care so much about this issue is I grew up in Mississippi, which was a state tearing itself apart from the aftermath of the Civil War. I saw the active efforts to push Black people out of public life in Mississippi growing up. I never, ever, ever thought I would live to the day that I would see Jews being pushed out of public life in Massachusetts. I want to say that one more time. I saw the aftermath of a society that was struggling with having kicked Black people out in the 60s. That same pattern is happening today. And I don't know why so few non-Jews are able to see this. One of the things that I did after October 7th is I started to read the history books. I was like, well, obviously this is going to be a big issue. I know that my side, the progressives, we kind of feel a certain way on this. Is this really true? And I started to read about what happens to societies that expel their Jews. It's not good for y'all, but I wish more people understood it's also not good for us. This is the start of some very dark things happening to a democracy. And the conclusion I have come to is my fate as a transsexual woman is going to be the exact same as yours is going to be. And I think we either push back on this illiberalism, this effort to rewrite history, this information warfare that tells America that just blaming Jews for all of our problems will somehow make the cost of groceries go down and lead to a utopia. We have got to push back on this because the rapidity of this backslide, the onslaught that I see day after day after day of what our Jewish friends and neighbors are being asked to take, it is horrible for me to watch, and I'm not even one of y'all. Just like last night, Nicholas Fuentes, who is a modern neo-Nazi, was given a massive platform with Piers Morgan. And yes, he pushed back on him, but the reason he goes on those shows, the reason he wants to debate his ideas, is he knows that he is giving permission to all the anti-Semites out there to band together, and they are now getting the message that that is a socially acceptable view to hold. And that is what we have failed to push back on as Americans. So I feel very strongly about this. I think we either get together now and we push this crap out of public life and make it clear this is not who we stand for as Americans, or I really think it's just a future where it's every single person for themselves.
Wow.
More than exceptional. Brianna, what are some things that that the Jewish community can do to better engage the LGBTQ community, people from all different backgrounds? What is your advice to the Jewish community when it comes to interfaith outreach? I know you and I talk about this fairly often, but I wanted to hear from you. What comes to mind?
Well, I think the main thing that I see Jews doing is, a lot of you go to Hebrew school and you have so much knowledge on this that you are assuming that, Gentiles like me understand the Oslo Accords, understand the history of 1948, understand what the Six-Day War is about. And my message to you is like, please do not overestimate how much knowledge we have about these things. I think there's a real tendency to talk about it in really academic, historic terms. And I think you've got to more relate to people. I think you've got to tell your human stories. What does it feel like right now to see your neighbors not valuing you? Like you mentioned the LGBT community. Y'all helped build the LGBT community. You did. You literally helped invent the healthcare that saved my life. What does it feel like for y'all to see so many of my sisters turning against y'all and jumping on this train that's saying y'all are the enemy, that you are doing the wrong things, that you are the ones that are colonizers, or you're trying to take over and secretly control the United States government? What does that feel like for you? I think that I think that you have this armor on of history and knowledge, and I think it's really hard for you sometimes to be vulnerable. And I think the only way people are going to hear you is if they know those stories.
So what are some tactics, when it comes to outreach and listening, ways that we can better cultivate these relationships so that way, we can't just mobilize other communities and not, stand with them in return. So
Yeah.
what's your best way of cultivating relationships, continuing communication with interfaith organizations, partners, all those people? What's the best way to retain communication?
So this is what I think is really clear. I think that we are in an information war. The reason I got famous in the first place was Gamergate, which was the kind of modern social media mob coming, in this case, for women in the video game industry. That information warfare playbook has been copied over and over and over again to like to for different things. It was part of the 2016 election. We've seen it with disinformation in Ukraine, and now the anti-Israel, anti-Jew movement has copied that information warfare playbook, and they're running it against you. So my message to you is, if you want to build alliances with people, we have to understand this is not the 1990s anymore. You don't set culture by putting out a press release to the New York Times or getting a book review in the New Yorker, right? You don't set culture by going on CNN. Unfortunately, the culture has moved online. It's on Twitter, it's on Instagram, it's on Facebook. So what we have to do as a coalition is start saying, look, these are our values: entrepreneurship, democracy, hard work, fair shot for everyone. This is what we stand by. And we've got to do negative politics. And I think a lot of Jews are a little bit allergic to this. I think it's a lot easier to kind of come into the kumbaya moments, but that's not how information warfare works. The people out there that hate Jews, they are literally pouring hundreds of millions of dollars into influencers, into amplification projects, into media that is telling them that eliminating you is going to be the solution to all of their problems. We have to practice negative politics and start going after their figures, show how they don't stand for LGBT people, they don't stand for Black people, they don't stand for women. We've got to point out all of those failures of their movement and make people understand that we're all in this together.
So one last question that I actually have for you, Brianna, as a matter of fact, you know, what is your message to the Jewish community, 5, 10 years from now? Like, what is your vision that you see for us? What are ways that we can basically make this a safer haven in our classrooms? Where do you see the community years from now? And also, one more thing I want to ask you too. Do you think we need more social media transparency?
Yeah, well, that's absolutely yes to the second question. I mean, the money that's getting poured into this situation is just off the chart. And we absolutely need this, not just with the who's funding what, but also with the algorithm. So I entirely agree with that. I hope I can speak openly here because I think we're all friends here. I have read enough history to understand why when things get dark, Jewish people start trying to think like almost like pulling back into yourselves and your communities. I know so many people that are thinking about moving to Israel right now because they're scared of this moment. And I get it. I truly understand it. But I really think if we don't work together in this moment to push back on this, and it means new kinds of activism. It means getting in social media discussions. It may be uncomfortable. It means funding certain initiatives. It means taking that young person that you think will turn into a decent media figure and making the case and helping like grow that talent. There's all this stuff we have to do right now. And I truly understand that urge to say we can only trust ourselves right now. But, I know we've talked about this before. The reason I feel so strongly about Israel is the Jews that helped me along the way in my life. I was the first transsexual woman to ever transition at the University of Mississippi over 20 years ago. It was a Jewish therapist that helped me get my letters for HRT. I had Jewish administrators that literally went to war with the University of Mississippi administration to make sure I would get gendered correctly and treated fairly on campus. If you think that I pass reasonably well, is a Jewish plastic surgeon that has literally trained more than half of the doctors in this country on this, that literally helped develop our healthcare. The reason I feel so strongly about Israel is because I had this early life experiences with Jews where you went out and showed me your humanity, and it made me feel a need to stand with you. So I'm saying, like, don't give up on your neighbors. I think most Americans are good people. Most Americans can see your humanity. Most people can understand anti-Semitism. You just have to take time to help them understand your perspective and not give up on the rest of America. So that would be my message to you.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Brianna, we're more than lucky to have you in our lifetime. I mean, you have shown time and time and again that you know how to meet the moment when the moment strikes. And, people are going to remember your courage for the rest of our lives.
Well, it's not about me, it's about
It's,
us.
it
My
is,
fate is going to be the exact same as yours. And we just need to make the rest of America understand that.
and this is why we adore you, Brianna, to
Oh,
say the least. Anywho, thank you, Brianna, for coming on tonight. I know how busy you've been over the last 24 hours, so I deeply, deeply appreciate you being here.
Thank you so much,
And for always standing with us. Sami, I wanted to introduce you all to Sami Steigmann. So many of you have heard about Sami over the last several days when a public school out in New York City decided to disinvite Sami. Sami goes around the country educating people about his experiences surviving the horrors of the Holocaust and telling our testament in terms of how to meet the moment and how to educate people about the horrors of what we endured and how we can basically utilize it as a vessel for fighting for our civil rights. Sami, I know there's been some very, very, very interesting developments over the last 24 hours. So I'd like you to give a few words, tell us, what you've been working on, and share the positive vibes, because I know that you have something awesome to share.
Well, basically, I'm a Holocaust survivor, a child of Holocaust survivors. I'm a motivational speaker, educator, served in the Israeli Air Force, and recently I also became a Hollywood movie actor. My mission in life is an acronym of the word emet, and this is to educate the next generation, primarily to teach them how the Holocaust happened, because there were no consequences, and to learn from the past, not to make comparisons, to motivate them to be the best they can be, and to empower them to become upstanders. Knowledge without action, from my perspective, is meaningless. And tolerance for me means to accept other people's opinion, other people's culture. Also, what happened right now with me, a lot of people were sad, were angry. And I said, in every calamity, there is an opportunity. And this is the best thing that ever happened, at least to me. And also, I became, without looking for it, the voice of the Holocaust because of the media coverage. I became also the representative of all of the Holocaust survivors. Okay, so they will not be silenced. And at the same time, also of the Jewish people. So through advocacy, and a lot of people were really involved in it. And it was grassroots. And basically right now, it has been confirmed that I will be able to speak at that particular school. So it is absolutely unreal. And this is a great victory, not for me, but for the Holocaust survivors and the Jewish people. And we will not be silenced. So this is a very good example of what happened in my particular case, how to become active and change things. The other thing is I'm also very much interested okay, there are only 24 states that mandate Holocaust curriculum. The first one was New Jersey. The last one where I was the keynote speaker was Pennsylvania. In New York, okay, it was mandated in 94. In 31 years, there is no standard curriculum and not enforced. And one of the things that I'm very much involved, trying to be in front of the state senators in every possible state. And this is to try to talk to them and to tell them that they must be enforced, especially wherever the Holocaust curriculum is mandated. And when I'm talking about enforcement, I am not interested in legislation. You cannot, make any changes. You cannot legislate how somebody feels. There must be consequences. And if somebody does not fulfill the mandate, okay, defund that particular school. It will be a long term, okay, to accomplish it. But the first thing that must be done is I have to speak in front of them. It's either me or somebody like me that has a very strong voice, okay, and to try to convince them at least to think to do it, okay. But it's a long process because there are too many political people involved in it. And the other thing is, I'm also interested very much in interfaith dialogue. I spoke in Decatur, Illinois, and there are only 3 Jews to 1,200 students, 600 students, 400 students. I always have a student moderate, an 11th grader moderated from the 1,200, not a single Jewish kid. And I said everything that I wanted, and I had absolutely no backlash. One of the reasons, okay, is because I asked permission, which means I tell them they can ask any questions they want. I will be very honest. However, I do not expect them to agree with me. Okay, if I have an opinion that is different than theirs, all I'm asking for is respecting that I may have a different opinion. And once I say that, I can say anything I want without any problems. So I have my own way of doing things. I've been quite successful, and I prefer to do it in person. And that is where my forte is, not on Zoom. On Zoom, you can reach people in other countries, different places. But wherever I can, before COVID, I traveled and I was in person in many states.
You're just in Alabama.
Right now, I just came, okay, I would say, what time is it right now?
At least in Eastern time.
I came about 20 minutes to 9. So, okay, that's why I did not eat anything yet. It was a very long day. Okay.
Sami, you are incredible on every level. And I have to say, Sami, and I know David was also asking if you remembered that you had done an event with him, but my daughter actually hosted Sami in 2020 on a panel dealing with collaborate against hate. Sami, you did a fabulous job then. I'm sure you might not remember, but you left a
I
big
have
impact
no
on
idea what you're talking about.
I know you don't, so that's why I'm reminding you now. And Sami was actually the Holocaust survivor. This you'll remember. My son went on March of the Living in May, and for 1 week, Sami was with my son and a bunch of high school students, teaching them the importance, of empowerment and never forgetting when they, walked the camps. But now speaking to activism, Sami, I think, you're just even touching on this, the MS-447, the Brooklyn story. It really is a story of activism. And I'm speaking now from, our team at End Jew Hatred and Sami and dealing with the elected officials. It was a real telling story of Sami being wronged, the principal thinking that perhaps his stances on Israel and what's going on there might be an issue, which is ridiculous because having a Holocaust survivor speak in a school is not political. But the key factor there is that then the parents were involved and empowered enough to then speak about it. And one thing led to another, getting it out in the press, getting it in the news, shining a light on what the situation is so that then the elected officials got involved, the mayor got involved. And now we see that the win is that the school backed down and the school is embracing you. So I do think that this was a real case study in activism and how all the different spokes of that wheel, when they all work together, will make that wheel turn. So I have to just highlight that because I think, Sami, I'm sorry you went through it, but I do think that.
No, I am not. As a matter of fact, it's the best thing that happened because this is right now we can expose, okay,
Right.
everybody, okay, that is biased against the Jewish people and other minorities.
God bless you.
Perfect vehicle. The people say, I'm sorry. Why would he be sorry? It's the best thing that happened. Right now, all of a sudden, I have to right now to spend a week. I don't have a secretary to arrange all the invitations that I got. It's unreal. But the most important thing is like you said, it's a case study of how we should work, okay, together, okay,
Yep.
and involve politicians and everybody else. And this is a very, very important. And we have to be united. We have to help each other. Everyone, like for instance, I think you said, Michelle, or I don't know, somebody else said that basically our enemies, they spend millions of dollars. And I have a solution for it. We have the money to fight it. Every organization has a lot of money. What is the Federation, ZOA, IAC, anybody that they have a lot of money. Why don't you take, each one has a function. Why don't you take 75% of the money, put it in a pot, and we have enough money to fight them. We don't have to find excuses that we cannot fight them. Of course you can fight them, but everyone is ego, okay, and we are not united. Why don't we unite? And we have to use one thing. We must do it, and we don't do it, not right. Anybody remembers KISS in the economy? Keep it simple, stupid. Everybody says something else, nobody hears us. Why don't you have a very small, okay, a simple message? Everybody to say the same thing over and over and over to become the new norm. And if we are not going to do it right now, we lost the PR war. We lost. The only way that we can regain it is if we come up with a slogan that is very simple, very short, okay, and repeat everybody. And I mean every organization, every person, over and over and over. Otherwise, we are not really going to change the what's happening today. But that's my opinion. I have been against the public, what shall I say, what people believe in general. I had my own voice, my own opinions. Everybody told I'm wrong. Unfortunately, it has been proven that I was right. So let's see if we can work on it to be one.
Sami, I promise you, with our heart, our being, every fiber of our souls, we're not just putting in 110%, we're putting in 110,000% when it comes to fighting this good fight. It is essential that we continue to fight for people like you because of your voice.
But not separately.
No.
I was the keynote speaker in Atlanta, teaching about the Holocaust to teachers from states around Atlanta, around Georgia. And guess what? The Deputy General Counsel of Israel was there, very impressed with me, big deal. So I asked him, why don't you share it with the other general counsels? And he said, we don't work together. I said, you are working for the Ministry of, the external, the foreign ministry. How come you're not working together? We are each one independent. How can they?
Sami, I'm going to jump in here. Sami, everything you're saying, I think a lot of us on this panel specifically can concur that unity is key. For those of you that know my last name, Achdut in Hebrew means unity. All we do is tout unity, meaning the big orgs, the small orgs, grassroots. We have to work together. Otherwise, we don't stand a chance because we're all in this race for the same finish line, even though every org might not run the race the same way. So we agree with you. And I think us as Jewish people have to work on that more. And you have my word, and I'm sure everyone's word here, that we will work on that because that's what we do day in and day out. Sami, thank you, and truly, God bless you, and much more to come.
I'm going to ask you to do is come up with the slogan. And
Okay.
slogan, KISS.
Okay.
Super stupid.
Really, so amazing, Sami. And Sami, we also are going to share your Instagram and on Facebook. Well, I'm going to offline get that too, but in this webinar, we're going to share so that people can follow you and hear what you have to say because you have so much knowledge to spread and share. So,
Yes,
all of us are truly grateful for you.
we need
Um,
Sandy everywhere.
really.
I
Adar?
yes. So yes, Sammy, we need you everywhere around the country, to say the least. Now, I wanted to kick things off by introducing our incredible partner organizations that joined us here tonight. We've got incredible representatives from JCAN, Stand With Us' K to 12 Fairness Center. We got people from the Jewish Federation of Orange County. We have the Israeli American Council and the South Bay Jewish Advisory Group. We have an incredible array of speakers here with us tonight that each individually want to share their resources, all their initiatives. It is important that we pay attention to all our efforts and combine our efforts. All of these organizations are more than just incredible organizations. They are the bedrock of what it means to be activists in our nation. They are more than exceptional, to say the least, and we are lucky to call them our partners and our friends. We're one big mishpacha. So I want to kick things off with David Smokler, who is with the Stand With Us K to 12 Fairness Center. He handles all the K to 12 issues for Stand With Us and has been an incredible ally when it comes to fighting this good fight. As far as sharing resources, collaboration, we've worked on things in Philadelphia. We've worked on several different things, so the National Educators Association, and so much more. So I want to kick things off with you, David.
Thanks, Adar, and thanks, Michelle and everybody. Like Michelle, I'm on the East Coast. I'm in Baltimore, and so this is hour 12 of a long day. So if I start babbling, I hope you'll forgive me. I do want to recognize, though, I hear this from people in the community all the time, like, why aren't the organizations working together? Why is nobody working together? And the fact of the matter is, we are working together. Michelle and I have worked together in multiple initiatives and also with our partners at NAVI, which is another organization. I've recently been in a meeting with Ilana here, with Imbal here on this call. Leslie, another call with you recently. And so, I think it's really important for the people of California to know. I happen to work nationwide, and others of you work in different pockets. Michelle's nationwide. That we are working together to complement what we're really good at and help each other to meet common initiatives. And so Adar mentioned some of the outreach that we did around the NEA. We're excitingly at Stand With Us Now, we're helping to form Jewish affairs groups or Jewish affairs caucuses and unions in all 50 states. There has been one that's been very successful in California so far, the CTA, within the CTA, and they're fighting back, some people within that union, but it's going to be an ongoing fight. We also do quite a bit of professional development in K-12 schools. At the K-12 Fairness Center, we are all long-term experienced teachers, educators. I was a long-term high school teacher and school administrator. And so we go into schools, and I would say pairing well with the activism that's happening in different areas is the education that's happening inside schools with administrators, school boards, and teachers, because we can provide high quality professional development about Jewish identity. So all our professional development start with an understanding of Jewish identity and Jewish connection to the land of Israel. And then it's going to be a very practical session based on whether you're a teacher or an administrator or a school board member. And so we're out here together doing this work together. I think another thing that's happening that I'm really excited about, and I'm seeing more and more people talk about anti-Zionism as a hate movement in and of itself, that is a mutated form of anti-Semitism. And that's conversations that I think I'm hearing in other groups, Jewish orgs, even legacy orgs across the country. And so, I think what that addresses is we all know what anti-Semitism looks like on the right. We understand classical anti-Semitism, the Holocaust, the original blood libel, the idea of Jews as being greedy and power hungry, all that. We've mutated now into the genocide libel and the apartheid libel. Anyway, I think it's important to consider the ways that this has become a mutated form of anti-Semitism that is happening under the radar in most of our schools because oftentimes people in schools don't have language for it. So I know there's a lot of people here, and I don't want to take up all evening, but I think if anything, you understand that we're all are working together and finding ways to support the work that we're all doing, and that we're working both as advocates and also as educators hand in hand. And it's hard work, but I think we've seen a lot of progress.
More than a lot of progress.
A lot. David, I have a question actually, and because we have, all these attendees from California here, in terms of the teacher, the training piece, Stand With Us. If there's a parent in a specific school, for instance, that would, want to find out if Stand With Us can come in and do teacher training, for instance, is that something that is a possibility? And if
It
so,
is.
and so how would they reach out? Who would they reach out to? Because I think that's an important piece of information.
That's a great question. So we have a website. On the Stand With Us website, you can find the K-12 Fairness Center. There's a contact us, or you could just use the Stand With Us website. And we're happy to come to schools. We're happy to try to figure out how to make it work financially. Sometimes it makes sense for school districts near each other to work together to bring us out. And so, we can have concurrent workshops so that we're not wasting resources. We also have donors that want us in schools, so they help support that financially so that it's not excessive costs on a school district. So absolutely, we love we've been welcomed in a lot of school districts across the country, and we find schools want us back because they do understand not just about Jewish identity, but how the bias has creeped into the curriculum. And, we know we want kids to be educated, not indoctrinated. And we want to teach them how to think and not what to think. And that's at the crux of everything that everyone on this screen is doing. And that's what we're doing at K-12 Fairness Center.
Awesome. Thanks, David. That was perfect, succinct, and perfectly on point. Thank you so much. Adar, you want to move it along?
Absolutely. So next we have our incredible friends here at JCAN. Alana Mirovich and Julie Hyman. I apologize if I mispronounced any names, but, Michelle, can you make Alana a host just because she's got a good presentation to showcase?
Of course. Give me 1 second. Alana, I believe that worked now. I think that you're the host now.
Yeah, thank you. And hopefully you can see my screen.
Oh, whoops.
Yes. Perfect.
I don't exactly have a wonderful presentation. I have literally, as we said, I said 2, we have 3 slides, but basically, just to kind of be really brief. So JCAN, we're operating in Orange County, California. We started about a year ago to kind of cover, Michelle, you talked about spokes of a wheel, or we talk about different lanes or legs of the stool. We picked up the political leg of the stool, where our mission really is to build connections and strengthen our connections with elected officials. So we focus on state elected officials and below, county, school board, city council, board of education, all of those. And our goal with them is to educate them about us and educate us about them. And when we educate them about us, our approach is we come in peace. We're just like you. We're neighbors. We live together. We want to live together. We request the same kind of empathy. We have a very clear bar. You should recognize that we have a right to live here. You should recognize that Israel has a right to exist as a state. But beyond that, check out the politics at the door, because we're in local. And when you deal with local, the idea is we are here. We want to be your neighbor. Whatever you think of Israel, you should not be that you should never think of taking that out on your kid, on your neighbor, on your son, on your child. None of that should impact how you treat your kids, your neighbors, or how our kids should. They have no control over it. So why should you? So we talk to them about mutual values. We talk about American values. We talk about our own freedom and our own empathy. We don't talk about victims, right? We're not into the victim Olympic thing anymore. We're here. We're proud. We're Jews. Want to learn about us? Come join our Shabbat. Come to our Hanukkah candle lighting. That's what we're trying to do. So we educate on that front. And then we also educate our own community members about them. So when it comes time to elections, we get involved with voting, we get involved, we give them a voting guide, etc. We have essentially, if you will, three pillars of our work. One is educating, the other is empowering. We can't do this without the community. So we want to empower our own community. We want to empower experts. We want to empower our allies and our partnerships. Where we make a lot of friends is with people in other minority groups or other people in the community who care about the same things that we do and are tired about all the crazy narratives that are out there destroying our values. So we make those friendships and then we advocate. So in order to advocate, we've created a C4. And through our C4, we are able to go advocate for policy changes. We get to advocate for legislation. We were very active in the legislation efforts for AB 715, the bill in California that was passed. We're now involved in the lawsuit that unfortunately is being filed against us by CARE, which is really ridiculous. And so we try to provide that kind of an opinion. We're starting to get involved in policy. So a lot of it is just understanding policy. What does the Ed Code really say? Let's get involved with that. We get a lot of calls where we fit in with the community is when a parent has an issue or anything else, we'll get involved with, okay, what is the policy? What can we do? And then because we work with school board members and with others, we get involved with say, hey, can you help us get this done? Can you help educate your staff? And so that we can kind of work on it, as we've said before, kind of like there's a bottom up through the community, there's a top down through legislators and elected officials. So this is a bit of our work. In terms of our focus is Orange County. I believe there might be one or two groups like this that are picking up in LA. There are now other orgs like ours that are popping up in other parts of the country. In the Bay Area, it's through the JCRC, they now have a C4. So there are other groups and we're all comparing notes and learning from each other. But we're finding that this pillar is really, or this spoke of the wheel of the political angle really matters. And these people all want to get elected. So when we are able to steer even $500 to their campaign, they listen. When you say, let's host a fundraiser for you, they're happy to come. When we say, let's bring you on and listen to you, they listen. And so we find that when we approach them in that way, many really want to be our friends and we can partner together in getting rid of all the haters because when they hate us, they don't just hate us. And so we're finding and teaming up with others who have the same view. So that's about it for us. We have a website where we try to put out information. We tell people like on our website when you can reach us if you want to learn about how to become engaged. One of the things that we're getting involved in right now is anybody who wants to run for office, we want to help you. We need more people, whether it's Jewish or non-Jewish or Israel lovers or like the more Brianna Wu's in the world. Let's help them get elected. Let's help them run for office. We're putting together a candidate playbook. What does it take? What is it going to require? How do you do that? Take the myth out of it. We want to help you so that we can get more people, whether it's a school board or a city council or even be on a commission. There are a lot of ways that people can get involved. So we're getting involved in that as well.
That's fantastic. I mean, school board advocacy is one of the biggest things that I actually wanted to talk about tonight. And, it's good that you're ahead of the curve on that. It's important that we recruit the healthiest, most reasonable candidates that want to apply a protect civil rights for all approach. We also have to make sure that they are healthy candidates, to say the least, and we will dive into that further. Alana, JCAN, you all do more than an exceptional job, and I'm so thankful that you could join us tonight. Thank you for everything that you do for our community, not just in California, but even beyond.
I appreciate that, Adar. And one other little point before we turn it, having all of these organizations on the call and knowing the resources is really, really important because we can't solve everybody's problem, right? And a lot of times we have to escalate. And so we're happy to be a point of contact. But, David mentioned when we need to, we call Stand With Us. When we need to, we call IEC or we call we call End Jew Hatred. You have amazing resources. We're happy to be a tool to pass those resources to others. And so I think that collaboration is really crucial. And we love that we're on this call with you.
we're all on the same page. Now, don't forget, please be sure to put your contact information after you're done speaking, so that way we make sure that everybody has your contact information and they're able to reach out to you when an inquiry gets submitted and whenever we find an issue that we can continue to take on together. Every day that I spend with all of you is another day in paradise. So let's keep paradise going. So next, we have the incredible Joseph Good. Joseph is with the Jewish Federation of Orange County. I myself am a Federation alum and know the ins and outs of how things work in the Federation, and they do more than an exceptional job. And I know one of the most incredible things that Joey will talk about is the student to student program, which I helped co facilitate on the local level out in Metro Detroit prior to me joining at End Jew Hatred. So, Michelle, can you make Joey a host?
Actually, Alana, because you're the current host, it's sort of a game of tag. I think you need to. Now you.
Oh God, Joey, do I like to do that? Let me see. Where do
See
I
what
do
kind of
that?
damage I can do, Alana.
Should be the top right, and it should have the option.
The top three dots of his square. I think you
Oh, the
could
top three dots
of
his
Joey's square
square.
and do change and make him
Make
host.
host. Change host.
There we
Exactly.
go.
And now he can do what he needs to
Gotcha.
do.
Okay. Let me see.
Perfect.
Okay. So, my name's Joey Good. I'm the Senior Director of Community Relations at the Jewish Federation of Orange County. Jewish Federation of Orange County's been here for about 60 years now. And we've really been engaged in, this particular segment of the work since 2008. We have an initiative here called the Rose Project that we launched in 2008, really in response to protests at University of California, Irvine, back in the mid 2000s, and those really, made national headlines. Some of you may be familiar, but over the last almost 20 years now, we've really come to take somewhat of a long-term approach. And we've decided really in the past year to dive almost entirely into focusing in and on K-12 education. So about 4 or 5 years ago, we launched this program in Orange County called Student to Student. Student to Student is a peer-led education program, basically through which we train Jewish teens to teach their peers in classrooms about Judaism, what it means to them in their lives, what Jewish practices are, what Jewish values are. These presentations are really geared towards middle and high school students, so basically grades 6 to 12. And basically these Jewish teens teach their peers about everything ranging from the Jewish calendar, major life cycle events, what Shabbat is, teach them about Israel and Hebrew, the Holocaust, anti-Semitism, the whole gambit. And when we launched this program about 5 years ago now, we started with a cohort of 12 students, and we're up to 74 now. So it's really taken off. And these kids really make just a tremendous difference. In the last year, our current cohort of student-to-student ambassadors have presented in front of 5,500 of their peers. It's incredible. So these kids are really changing hearts and minds, not only of other students, non-Jewish students, but of their teachers, of administrators. And the program's really taken off. And its success here in Orange County has spawned Jewish Federations of North America to adopt it as a national program. And here, even in Southern California, our success in Orange County has persuaded the Federation up in LA to adopt the program. They're launching it this year, and the Federation down in San Diego is doing the same this year. So it's a really impactful program, and we are in and working with dozens of schools. There are 28 school districts in Orange County. It's massive, and this is really our primary program. And I'd encourage everybody to take a look into it. It really makes a difference. But in the last year, we've really decided to build around this program and increase our impact in the K through 12 space, just because there's such a need. And there's so many organizations that do incredible advocacy work, just like JCAN, just like Stand With Us, like IAC. There's so many. But I think we all know, and we've come to learn, this is a long game, and we have to be involved in schools, and we have to be involved in classrooms with students, with teachers, administrators, all of it. So around student to student, we've built out a couple programs. We've started sending teachers on fully funded trips to Eastern Europe and to Israel. These educational trips make such a difference, and we've seen them change perspectives, and teachers that have gone on these trips come back our biggest advocates. It's really a tremendous tool, and there are great organizations that set up these trips, and be happy to connect anybody with them if they're interested. We also have come to use new state mandates around genocide education. So there's a Senate bill that passed and went into effect on January 1st of this year, SB 1277, that mandates genocide education in, I believe it's 8th and 10th grade world history courses. And then starting next year, 715, we basically use those as ways to offer professional development, because schools and school districts are mandated to meet these requirements, and we help them do it. So oftentimes we find school districts, whether it's superintendents or principals or even school teachers themselves, they don't know how to meet these requirements and they need help. So we position ourselves as a resource. We offer paid professional development, and that's been a great tool. And there's been a lot of interest from teachers in that. Same thing with just offering teachers networking opportunities. We find that in a place like Orange County, where there are about 37,000 teachers, according to our local Department of Education, teachers want resources. They need access. They need help. They don't know where to look. And if we don't reach out and try to engage with them, they're going elsewhere. So we have to meet them where they are. Other than that, we offer basically what we call Countering Hate, which is this landmark educational summit for all the superintendents across Orange County, all 28 of them. It's basically a summit in which we get everybody together, offer best practices, on whatever the issue of the day may be, whether it's ethnic studies or how to meet some of these new state mandates. That's a really successful tool in helping us promote some of our other programs. And then, outside of K through 12, we're launching Secure OC, which is a new community security initiative, first of its kind in Orange County. And that really sums up the programs and initiatives that we're working on at the moment. But if anybody has any questions, please feel free to reach out. We've really done a lot of planning work in this, so happy to connect anybody to other partners that we use, vendors. And again, any questions, happy to answer them.
Amazing. Joey, I'm going to just also drop your email address in the chat in case the slide isn't up, so someone, everybody has it. Really amazing.
We're lucky to partner with so many federations across the nation, and you guys are setting the standard when it comes to curriculum change, ways to better mentor students. There's so much you guys do, and I'm so proud to be a federation alum, and I'm so grateful for everything that you've done to really meet the moment post October 7th and during October 7th and even before October 7th. The Federation is the bedrock of Jewish life and Jewish culture. And, you are one of several incredible organizations that really meet the standard of what it means to fight back in a healthy and meaningful way. So, oh, I just saw you put your contact. That's fantastic. Thank you, Michelle. Joey, next, we're actually going to go with the South Bay Jewish Advisory Group. We're going to pivot over to Sherry and Heidi. Do you want to
Joey,
share?
could you make Heidi the host, please? Thanks so much.
Perfect.
Thank you.
What a
Hi,
nice name.
everyone. So my name's Sherry Wicker, and this is Heidi Basharod, and we live in a cluster of beach towns called South Bay, not to be confused with the Bay Area. We're Los Angeles. And we created this coalition after a very problematic yearbook page. We're comprised of multi-faith organizations, rabbis, and parents coming together to prevent anti-Semitism in our community. To share a little bit more about me, I have 2 young kids, and I also founded the nonprofit 360 Perspectives after October 7th. In order to educate about anti-Semitism through the lens of extremism, with the goal of getting non-Jews to understand how anti-Semitism directly impacts them. And Heidi is a board member of 360 as well. So we have a lot of joint initiatives that kind of are a bit fluid between the 2 organizations. And we just launched a 12-minute documentary called Seas of Doubt on YouTube. Rather than discussing anti-Semitism head on, it actually exposes the underlying frameworks that enable anti-Semitism to flourish. So we're looking for partners to host screenings of this 12-minute film. So please reach out if you are interested. And I will let Heidi, you're still on that first slide, Heidi, just to let you know. I'll let Heidi introduce herself.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name's Heidi Basharod. I live in Redondo Beach. I have 3 young children who are not in the public schools. We're actually at a Jewish day school in North Redondo Beach. But I grew up in Palos Verdes, and when that yearbook incident that Sherry mentioned happened, it was alarming to say the least. I had taught Hebrew school as one of the hats that I wear at Congregation Ner Tamid in RPV, and when I moved home from Israel in 2012, I saw how increasingly my students had more and more to say about incidents of anti-Semitism that they had experienced, and that really wasn't the case growing up. So it was really important that we sort of jump on the situation because unlike the Bay Area in Northern California, we actually have a pretty equanimous day to day. Incidents do pop up, and our work is really getting ahead of the problem and informing and educating and creating those relationships so things don't get into crisis like they did with the yearbook. I run a nonprofit called Women's Voices Now, which is a women's rights organization. But through that, I've had opportunity to a lot of interfaith dialogue over the past decade and a half. So the partners that we have in the South Bay Jewish Advisory Group not only include Jewish organizations, as you can see here, StandWithUs, JFED Los Angeles, the ADL, the AGC, AJC 360 Perspectives, the Holocaust Museum LA, Hadassah, but they also include the American Islamic Congress and the Muslim American Leadership Alliance, which are 2 Zionist Muslim organizations, and they are our greatest partners in this work, even if it's just for morale building, because they let us know that we're not making this up, that yes, there is a problem and they see it and they're invested in dealing with it too. Sherry, did you drop the documentary into the
I will do that.
Good. Okay, that's later.
Absolutely.
Okay. So yeah, I'm gonna move on to the next slide and kick it back to
Perfect.
Sherry. Yes.
Sure. So, obviously our mission is to keep anti-Semitism out of the classroom, but we also want to bring Jewish joy into the classroom. And I think one big learning that Heidi and I had since starting this work when we're meeting with superintendents and the heads of school and board members is that a lot of educators only see being Jewish as a religion than rather understanding that the Jews are a people. And why is that such a big problem? Because if it's a religion, that conversation about the Jews doesn't belong in the classroom, right? And so we really took it upon ourselves to create that kind of baseline education about who the Jews are. And then you can go to the next slide, unless you have something to add to that.
Nope.
Okay. So we send monthly newsletters. We share educational community events and just information. We have an educator focused newsletter and a parent newsletter. The parent newsletter we share has all the same information the educator newsletter has as well, but it's also used to inform our own community about additional things, maybe preventing problems or sharing advocacy initiatives. We have done a variety of events for the community, topics like ethnic studies and DEI. Most recently, we did a great event, 360 Perspectives, partnered with the LA County Office of Education in order to prevent extremism in our classrooms. You know, kind of what we've been talking about throughout this whole webinar is the importance of sharing how this impacts everyone else. And this is not just a Jewish problem. Heidi is always our phenomenal moderator for all of these events, including that last one. So just to kind of call out a few tangible things of what we've done with South Bay Jewish Advisory Group. A parent got pushback about celebrating Jewish Heritage Month in school. So we worked with that district to have it formally adopted. And not only was that kind of a win in itself, but we send our newsletter to multiple districts. So we can publicly call out districts that are doing a good job to really, you know, make their Jewish children feel safe and seen to other districts so they can hopefully follow suit. We've also had some wonderfully proactive parents create guidelines for cultural heritage fairs in their schools and partnerships with their their DEI volunteers or PTA members to prevent issues that we're seeing, you know, all over the country. And we've shared those guidelines with all the schools and other parents to push for implementation in their own schools. We saw an Instagram post of a teacher in one of the districts at a, you know, proudly at a Teach Palestine conference. And we shared it with that school's superintendent. And we said, listen, you know, the teachers are allowed to go whatever conferences that they want, but we want to make sure this curriculum does not enter our classroom. She was really receptive, very responsive. We've worked hard to, you know, create a great relationship. She spoke with the principal who spoke with that teacher. This was all within 24, 48 hours. And then this is also, by the way, a superintendent who drove an hour to attend our event on extremism. So obviously, when the education piece and the relationship building piece work together, that, you know, creates for a really supportive community. And then the last example I'll share is that we met with a superintendent of a district where we really don't have a lot of visibility. Not a lot of our parents are a part of South Bay Jewish Advisory Group for this particular district. So when we met with the superintendent, he said, you know, I really appreciated in your newsletter that you shared information about how the Jewish students might be feeling on this upcoming one-year anniversary of October 7th. And I went ahead and sent out the letter you recommended to the whole district. And this is not someone we even had a relationship with. So, you know, it just kind of goes to show that you never know what people are willing to do if you make it a really easy ask.
And I just want to say, yes, one more. I'm just going to go back to this slide.
Sure.
Adding to what Michelle was saying about the need for unity, and Sami and Hanukkah is coming, and we have the opportunity to sort of rededicate ourselves to this idea of being a Jewish people that takes care of each other. It's important as parents to not think that someone else is going to solve the problem for us. All of these institutional Jewish organizations have enormous mandates and you know, hundreds of thousands of people to tend to. It is on us to call upon them to do what we need them to do. So parents have tremendous power, whether it's advocating for your child in school or reaching out to you know, a group like ours or doing it yourself. We have to sort of connect the dots. There's so much need and actually so few of us. It's this strange oxymoron. So to just that your voice always matters, and it's better to bring up the situation, to, you know, take the chance that it's our experience is that it's not they're not malicious, they're ignorant, and it is our job to hold their hand and walk them through all of these complicated issues that are in everyone's face that no one really wants to deal with, but everyone has to. So that's just what I wanted to add, that it's really important to work with each other, to work with all the different synagogues, to bridge the conservative and reform and reconstructionist Chabad, and everyone has to be in this together. And if you want to reach out to us and talk about how we've sort of networked with everyone to bring everyone everyone into the same room and the success we've had when we need someone that they do contribute to the whole, whether it's whatever synagogue denomination it is or whatever organization it is.
Amazing.
Thanks,
No,
Elon.
Sherry and no, really, Sherry and Heidi, I'm beyond thankful that our paths crossed. I think it was at the start of the End Hate in Education initiative that we spoke, and that's the beauty of, I mean, you're two parents that started something so incredible that really is a model for a lot of districts nationwide to follow. You know, I know here I'm in New York, there's a similar situation here that parents started a great grassroots movement that is a true advocacy, advocacy group for a bunch of different school districts here. So it's amazing to see these popping up. And that's the beauty of this panel, that then it's the grassroots orgs mixed with the Federation, JCAN, IAC. This is what's making everything work. And it's just so awesome. And I'm so happy that we're platforming you, because a lot of people are, I'm sure, getting a lot of helpful information hearing what you've done. So thank you, and much more to come. Adar, would you like to introduce the next panelists?
Yes, yes, yes. Next, we have the incredible ladies from the Israeli American Council, Inbal Greenberg and Leslie Tucker. Could we have Leslie be the host right now? IAC, I consider to be a sister or a partner organization, brother organization, whatever you want to call it. They're really, really, really true to heart. I've worked with them in several campuses. One of my favorite initiatives, actually, that we did was a march at Rutgers University that we actually had Sami join us with, and he gave a powerful speech talking about the horrors of the Holocaust and showcasing why it's eerily similar to what happened to October 7, while also addressing the cruelty of Hamas, showcasing some of the most barbaric, evil, unimaginable things that they have done to our community. So, we're very, very grateful for IAC. We've always been in great contact with them. They've been more than exceptional leaders on this front. Leslie, Heidi, I'll let you take it away. Or Leslie and Ball, I'll let you take it away.
I think I'll start. So hi everyone, and thank you for being here. I think it's very important, this call, so everybody will see each other. And I want to say big thank you to our strongest activists and volunteers that are on this call. I see them and I appreciate their time. And I think that this is all about IAC, the people. So what we basically do and what we basically expert in is the building community and building those activists. And we definitely want to say that we started as an immigrant voice, and we are showing and presenting our Israeliness vibes into it. And by building community, what we want to say is, first of all, IAC has been here for almost 2 decades, so 18 years we're celebrating Chai. And building community doesn't mean that we are doing organized events, but we are building events, so then we build community. Here in Orange County, we build 2 to 4 events a week. After October 7, we figure out that it's all about community, it's all about the people, it's all about the grassroots. We need them, we need their support, we need their activists, and we are together, we're engaging the broader community, we're going one by one. We also have in this call today our friend from the Hindi community. This is part of what we do. So by saying building community, it's not only the Jewish community, it's all around, whoever support Israel and whoever has Israel in its heart. So as for Sami said, we are looking for the non-Jewish people, and we are looking for our friends and allies, whoever we can get. Something very strong that we can say about ourselves is that we are strong Zionists, and we are unapologetically, with everything we say, we're raising our voice, we are a very loud voice, we're going to everywhere we can, rallies, global village, anything that we do, we're doing very, very strong presentation of Israel. And we definitely think that we have a lack of presenting of Israel. So Holocaust is something that everybody already know, but the Israel part, I think it's something that we are shaping up or putting up to present it better. And I think this is something that we all need to lift. I'll give Leslie to continue.
Thank you. I'm Leslie Edelman Tucker, and I'm the activism manager for IAC in Orange County. One thing I wanted to let everybody know is I joined IAC as a volunteer several years ago, and after October 7th, we all felt like we just needed community. So I joined different organizations, and the thing I liked was that Israeliness, to me, means energetic, it's feistiness. I mean, I'm not going to say scrappy, but they'll get out there, and they join the community together to really build, I don't know how to say, pride. They use education, support. And so those are really the three pillars that we focus on in the K through 12 system is education. And we do help and educate not just teachers and staff, but also students. And some of the trainings that we have are modern day anti-Semitism. What does it look like? Or standing up against hate. We have another one that's recognizing anti-Semitism through bullying. So we do try to focus on different ways that teachers can learn what to look for. They may not even know, like if people are starting to draw red triangles, like what's that? Like they just don't even know, or if money's thrown at a student's feet before a game, that's what does that really mean? That's a sign of bullying, anti-Semitism. So we do lots of trainings like that. We go to schools, and coming back to Israeliness, when schools have global days or international days, we can come and support the students and the parents by coming in and having a table about Israel. Something that we have that's a bit newer is an anti-hate escape room that we are bringing to schools, to corporations, to anyone, synagogues or churches, to teach what anti-Semitism looks like through a portable escape room that we can bring. So for all of you on the call, that might be something interesting, whether it's your businesses or, like I said, other areas. We support our community by working with principals if there's issues. We have a school watch program that if there is an incident, that we can help address it. Lots of mobilization with our community. Like I said, that's why I joined IAC just as a volunteer before I came on board, which was I like that mobilization. And I think that's why we all got on this call, was to learn, like, how can I mobilize? I loved after October 7th, I wrote my own emails, and thank you to End Jew Hatred that I didn't have to write my own emails anymore. So I think we were all looking for a tool. And for me, the tool, being an American, I really didn't know what IAC was, but they are a community of Jews from everywhere, Russian Jews, Ukrainian Jews, Israeli Jews, American Jews, it doesn't matter. They all came together, and IAC does a great job mobilizing people, whether it's telling everyone we need to go to a school board because there's an incident that came up, or whether it's, coming to do trainings. And the community piece is we do trainings, whether it's for our immigrant participants where they don't even know anything about civic engagement, and we can teach them how to get involved. We bring in a lot of guest speakers for salon talks. We can bring those guest speakers in for corporations. We have a community of people that can also help with mobilizing. So if we want to mobilize to go to City Hall, and for example, we just set up a training to teach our Orange County community what's been happening in city halls and what we're starting to see, that whole ceasefire that went on last year through all the city halls across the country. There's a new form that's starting. These people are back. They just love to hate. And unfortunately, we need to train our community. So if you are on this call and you didn't know how to mobilize, we are always looking for volunteers and a bigger community to help us go to city councils, school board meetings, and come to our fun events that we put on, like Inbal said, and she can talk about what we're doing in Orange County.
So just to continue all of that, I want to again mention that we hear all about community, and this is what we do. We think that this is the important part, to bring the community to understand, to learn, to educate themselves. So for that, it's only say if we don't act. So we do those events, so then they will learn, they will take the dust away. Even as Israeli, there are something that I know and something that I forgot. And the more that I learn, the more that I come together, the more that I meet my colleagues, my friends, my community, that's the more I have to speak about it. So this is, we found out that people get more, if we call ourselves the army outside of Israel, so we have to take the weapon. We have to know exactly the facts. So we're doing the Holocaust Remember every year. Unfortunately, we have to do now October 7 Memorial every year. We do Celebrate Israel every year. We bring guest speakers constantly, whether to the events, whether to the teens, whether to the churches. So then people would learn, people would hear evidence, people would always get themselves educated about new things, ask the questions, don't be afraid to talk. We do Tel Aviv business hours. It's not connected to schools, but it does connect it in a way because those are parents that needs to connect with each other. So if it's professional ways, get them together. I don't care. I want them into the place. I want to tell them that how important it is to be civic engagement, how important it is to be professional and help each other with the business network. We're doing Shabbat dinner for families or for adults. We do holidays, celebration. Of course, we take the teens very, very specifically under consideration, not because only anti-Semitism. This is okay, part that students doing a great job or whatever program, but we take them to lead. We want them to understand that Israel is an impact nation. We want to teach more and more about Israel, Israeliness mind, innovation, creativeness, way of thinking. This is so important because they get motivation. They understand also the positive way of Israeliness and not only the anti-Semitism part, which is sometimes make us low and down. And after October 7, one of the most important initiative, like Sami said, and I hope he hears that we did the building bridges with the clergy and with the non-Jewish friends. And I don't want to say even interfaith because they're not interfaith, they are friends. And we built this great relationship after 2 years. And it took us time. It's not an easy process. You all have to start wherever you are. But we have to maintain this relationship. Invite your neighbors to Hanukkah celebration. Invite your friends that are not Jewish to Shabbat dinner, to whatever you can, to events. So we open it up for everybody, and we are keeping it. It's a very growing initiative, and we did Thanksgiving together at Shoreline Church. We did movies. We brought speakers into the churches. So we're doing fantastic with that. But again, there's always more to do, and there's so many churches around us. And not even churches, the Hindu community, which are fantastic allies and friends, and the Native Americans, and I'm not saying the Muslim, but the Arabs that are Christians are reaching out and becoming allies and friends. So there's more to do, and I want to say something about the schools. So after October 7, IEC has been dealing a lot with families that call us daily on the first year. Let's say now I'm getting calls once a week. And what we basically do is we escort them. We ask them if they want the IEC to be involved. Sorry?
Oh, sorry. No, go ahead.
Okay. So we are dealing with the parents. We are dealing with we're helping them writing the letters. We're helping them getting into the principal, talking about it. We've been going to school board, sharing about anti-Semitism since October 7. We actually took this initiative as well, and we started to go and sharing about rising anti-Semitism everywhere in Orange County so people would be aware of what's going on. We build this community to be leaders, to speak, to talk. Many of the people in conversation here are part of it. We read books. We have people that read AP World History, regular history, and actually checking the wordish in the books, and actually going to library and reading the books from the high schools. This is what we come up with until now, and learning what the misinformation that's already been there. And by the way, it's 4th edition, so nothing is new, but for us it is new, and we are trying to combat that with the parents, with the people. It's all about the people at the end. And also last thing that, like Leslie said, that we are going to International Day. We escorted families. We support them to have an Israeli booth at the places. And what we figure it out is that when we go into this event, we have Palestine booth. They have a map of Israel calling Palestine, and we have Israel booth. We have a map of Israel calling Israel. This is something that we've been dealing with in the last 2 years, and we definitely need everybody on top of it to learn. And if you didn't see it yet, face it, it's there. So that's something that we all need to work together, how to make education system take them away and not let them have the map of Israel calling it Palestine, because the community getting very frustrated and not understanding of the facts. So all of that, all those initiatives that we are doing daily, and like you see from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., is what we do. So we are here for everybody, and we're doing it with a lot of passion because it's a war and because everybody here needs to do their best. And I know that you all do. And yeah.
And
Absolutely.
the only
Amazing.
comment I want to make is I know there's people that are not in Orange County. There are people like us in all regions across the US. So please email us and we'll connect you. Like I know our LA counterparts on the call and our San Francisco counterparts on the call. So yeah, just contact us and we can connect you.
Yes, and we can speak, from End Jew Hatred. IAC is incredible, and we do a lot of work with you here in New York, New Jersey as well, just by virtue of myself and that I'm based here. We do a lot of different events together. But truly, overall, everybody incredible. In the interest of time, Adar, if you want to give, a very, very brief overview of the End Hate in Education Initiative, but I know I also put the website in chat for people to take a look, but really you can say what it is, but the panel tonight is essentially what the goal of the End Hate in Education Initiative is. So, but I'll leave it to you, but it's bringing everybody together.
Absolutely. So I'm going to try to explain this as fast as possible. Everybody, please look into the chat, not just for our contact information, but also see Michelle's latest post that also features the website to our End Hate in Education Initiative, as well as the links to our California chapter and action items group. That way you'll be kept aware of what's going on, initiatives that you can take on, click and sign campaigns. We've partnered with many of these organizations here on several click and sign initiatives and petitions and campaigns, etc. Now, when it comes to California law, I want to cite 2 or 3 super quick things. The law is definitely applicable to our advantage. One law in particular that's actually more of a federal law is the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act, also known as FERPA, which requires transparency amongst school districts, classrooms, and parents. What does that mean specifically? It means that parents have a legal right to inspect and review their child's education records and materials provided by the school. Now, another thing that I want to cite, which is way more California specific, is the fact that school boards are required to allow members of the public to request items that are directly related to school business. When it comes to Parent-Teachers Association meetings, you can request these materials up to a week in advance. It's always important that you engage with them to submit agenda items and request agenda items. You always want to inspect everything head to toe. Now, if the boards decline the request because they decide the matter isn't relevant or it's better handled elsewhere, they have to provide a process for submission. All this is listed under the Brown Act, which is the California Governor's Code 54950. It is so vital that we continue to look into California law and utilize it to our advantage. School board advocacy is key. It is the most important thing that you need to apply today. And all of us here today, or tonight, are here to guide you in your activism. Please, please, please reach out to all of us when an incident occurs on the local level or even in the national level. We're always here to be your eyes and ears on the ground and to provide you material support for anything you need to properly address Jew hatred in the classrooms. I want to thank all of you tonight for joining us for this meaningful webinar. Once again, I apologize for the minor technical delay. The good news is that, like all webinars, we obviously record this, so that way you'll be able to see it, a brief recap, and touch on things that you may have missed or you want another overview on. We're all here together as resources. We're all different creatives using our imagination. Think of it like Bereshit. Bereshit makes a powerful case for creativity, because when we create the world. And it's beyond tikkun olam. We're not just here to repair. We're here to restore and basically enlarge. You know, there's so much we can do together, and I can't thank all of you enough. You are all exceptional representatives from your organizations, putting 110% every single day, even after October 7th. You're doing more than an exceptional job. And
100%. And yes, Adar, everything that you're saying, 1,000,000% and then some. Tonight is a perfect example of how we all work together. And when we unite, as we've been doing, we get somewhere. And for all the attendees, I do want to leave you with a bit of work. And the work is be an activist. Everybody here is here to hold your hand and enable you to do so. So whether it's, going on, we'll again share all of the links, everything's in chat to all these wonderful orgs. You have parents here that have started, their own group that they can also guide you through. I know Sherry and Haida, I'm putting words in your mouth, but I'll do that because that's just how we work here. Guide you through how they started what they've started, for instance, and then we have these amazing orgs that are all here for you doing great things. We're here as well on the End Jew Hatred side. The work that I will leave you with, if you are not in our action items group, please click and join, because every day we're doing work taking Jew haters down, thanking allies, really ensuring that we're amplifying, whether it's different actions, petitions of other organizations to make change. That's what we're all in here for. We're in this together, united, and much more to come. But thank you so much for giving us your time. So I just wanted to get that out there before we close out. Thanks all.
Everybody.
Take care.
Thank you.